it's interesting to see that players these days are incorporating years of research in strength and conditioning, right? I mean, when you look at all the strength coaches now that they have, going to the gym, doing plyometrics, running on the beach with a parachute, you don't have to lift necessarily to go to a gym and lifting heavy weight all the time, but building muscles in a way that's going to make them faster, last longer, and less pain. And look at Federer, the discipline he had. Look at Tom Brady at 45. You have to be extremely disciplined if you want to last longer. Back then, because they didn't have this discipline, I don't believe they could last as long. And health is not only doing training like this, is the diet. I have a friend of mine who was the head strength coach of the Chinese volleyball team. And a few years ago, when they were, preparing for Beijing and the Olympics. And one day he told me, I was looking at what they were eating, and they were really eating, candy bars and really not healthy at all. And he told them, okay, girls, I'm going to show you now what we need to do. And he started doing some, using a blender, he started doing some smoothie with veggies and spinach. And they were all laughing because everything was green, and they were drinking that and learning something new. Well, I'm sure when you look at the diet of these top athletes 34 years ago, was not very healthy as compared to what we have today. So I think studies and resources like we have today on strength and conditioning, hydration, nutrition, the importance of electrolyte, and et cetera, are changing the game. And I don't know if anyone would have a chance against a top 20 player going back in time, 50, 60 years ago, and if who would win. I mean, it would be interesting. But I think science, genetics, nutrition, exercising the proper way make us last longer and be different athletes.
You mentioned your background in powerlifting, and I didn't know Jalen Hurts, who's from Texas, who was the quarterback yesterday, who set the record in quarterback touchdowns. He ran for 3 touchdowns. He is a backer. He's 6'1", 223 pounds. He is 24 years of age, from Houston. He has a background in powerlifting. And if you look at his combine, which is the test that they send the draftees to before the NFL draft, against the results of Mahomes, who's the winning quarterback who won a second Super Bowl yesterday, the times and the jumps of Jalen Hurts were superior. Doesn't mean he's a better quarterback. It just means he has different athletic things that I think are directly related to his background in powerlifting. He can jump in the standing broad jump about a foot longer than Mahomes. And Mahomes, I think, was a 6-sport athlete. And I think Jalen Hurts might have been also in high school. They could do track and all these basketball, football, baseball. It's just both of those guys are incredible athletes. And what I like to hear about that is the fact that they did get the time to play many different sports as late as the age of 18 years of age, which you don't hear that in tennis. By the time you're 12 in tennis, you play year round in tennis, and you do physical training and physical therapy and psychological sports psychology counseling. And then you play cards with your friends and you travel. You're traveling with your parents and your coach to all these events. So I'm glad to see that the NFL, which is this big deal where these careers are typically pretty short. When I was little in the 70s, you might have had an 8 or 12-year career in the NFL. Now the lifespan of the average, take all the positions, it's under 4 years. And it might even be 2 years now. I don't know. But I was glad to see that. And the book that I've spent the last 6 years writing, and I want to release it when I can get the right coverage for my book. So I haven't released it on my own. just by putting it on Amazon. It's called Raising a Child Athlete, question mark, things you need to know. And it takes examples and observations and experience from coaches, from parents, from athletes, from sports doctors. I interviewed this really cool guy who's a sports podiatrist. I'll put his name down underneath the video. And you can hear the reactions of people talking about where we went wrong within the last 25, 30 years with taking an athlete and concentrating them on one sport and not letting them be a balanced person, not letting them do yoga retreats, not letting them play with their friends. I think it's okay to blow off steam once in a while, to go to a rave. You don't have to drink and do all these drugs, but stay out all night once in a while and have your mind completely released of everything and be high-fiving and hugging your friends and get safely home after that. But tribal cultures did those things. They did the drum beats. They stayed up all night. They did these things that changed your biochemistry and changed your day-to-day routine. And when you get into the American and European Puritan work ethic, coming from England, coming from Switzerland, Germany, France, coming to America, a lot of those things bred in this idea of life is boring. You do the same thing every day. You go out and feed the cows, you go out and tend the garden, and then you just be quiet and listen to everybody at dinner, and you don't try anything new. And that to me is a problem, and we need to be open to what the universe is giving us. So I went on for quite a while, and tell me if anything of that resonates with you, Victor.
Yes, definitely. First of all, sports, people who play sports are more successful in life when they are, as youth, as young people. It's well documented. There's a lot of research study, not only Richard Branson or the current CEO, of Microsoft, who loves, who played cricket. So when you look at, the NBA, in 75 years, only 4,300 people played in the NBA. And it can be for a day, or it can be for, like our director of basketball, Mark Strickland, for 10 years. And I didn't know that. But when I met Mark, I did some research, and I told Mark, do you know that only 4,300 people played in the NBA in 75 years? And you played 10 years. How many people played more than 1, 2, 3 years? And I said, you are one of a kind. And he said, oh, thank you. And so my point is, if you're, there's very few chances that after high school, first of all, you are going to play in college, and that you're going to make it to the NBA. So the expectations of many parents is crazy. And that can ruin everything. Let them have fun, because by letting them play, and if you can make it through high school and have fun in high school and play for a team in high school, it's a life lesson. And hopefully you can then transport that over the years. If a Tom Brady can still play in the NFL at 45, there's no reason why people should be obese and not go out anymore at a later stage in life. And I think that